Death has always been a part of human experience, a mystery that no culture can fully escape or ignore. Throughout history, every civilization has faced the inevitability of death and tried to make sense of it through gods and goddesses who oversee this final transition. These deities, revered and feared, often represent not just the end of life, but also the journey into what lies beyond. In ancient Egypt, Anubis was a figure wrapped in dark, enigmatic grace. With his jackal head and human body, he wandered the realms of the dead, guiding souls through the labyrinthine passageways of the afterlife. His role was vital in ensuring that the deceased were properly prepared for their journey, protecting them from the dangers of the unknown. The very thought of Anubis was both comforting and daunting, a guardian standing between life and the great beyond. Just beyond Anubis's shadow, Osiris held sway over the Egyptian concept of life after death. As a god of resurrection and eternal life, his story is one of betrayal, death, and triumphant rebirth. Osiris's fate was a powerful message. Even in the face of death, there was hope for a new beginning. This belief provided solace and encouragement to those who mourned, reinforcing the idea that death was not an end, but a passage to something more profound. Across the Mediterranean, the Greeks had their own vision of the afterlife. Hades, the lord of the underworld, ruled over a realm where souls went after their mortal lives ended. Far from being a mere god of death, Hades was a keeper of balance, ensuring that each soul received its due. His world was not one of horror but of order, a place where the departed continued to exist, albeit in a different form. Persephone, the queen of this underworld, played a crucial role in the myth of the changing seasons. Her annual return to the surface heralded spring and summer, while her descent into the underworld marked autumn and winter. This cycle of life and death mirrored the natural world's rhythms, offering a poetic reminder of the interconnectedness of life, death, and rebirth. In the Indian subcontinent, Yama, the ancient god of death, presided over the realm of the deceased. Yama's role was both fearsome and nurturing. He judged the souls of the departed and ensured that they found their rightful place in the afterlife. His presence was a solemn reminder of the moral dimensions of life, underscoring that one's actions in the mortal world would determine their fate beyond. Yama's counterpart in the Vedic tradition, Yamraj, also wielded considerable influence over the dead. Although often viewed with a degree of fear, Yamraj's role was essential in maintaining cosmic order. He was not merely a figure of dread but a protector of the natural balance, ensuring that life's end was met with justice and fairness. The Aztecs, with their vibrant and complex mythology, had Mictlantecuhtli and Mictecacihuatl as their sovereigns of the underworld. Mictlantecuhtli, with his skeletal visage and somber demeanor, was both revered and feared. He ruled the underworld with a sense of stern authority, overseeing the journey of souls through dark and challenging realms. His wife, Mictecacihuatl, shared his dominion, embodying the sorrow and strength of those who passed. Together, they represented the inexorable nature of death and the endurance of the spirit. In Mesopotamia, Ereshkigal was the queen of the underworld, her domain a shadowy counterpart to the world above. Ereshkigal's realm was a place of silence and separation, yet it was also a land where the dead found their rest. Her myth intertwined with the story of Inanna, whose descent into the underworld highlighted the profound connection between life, death, and the cycle of nature. Nergal, another deity from Mesopotamian mythology, was both a god of death and a god of war. His role was to bring about necessary destruction and ensure that life's end was met with an appropriate response. Nergal's influence stretched across both realms of the living and the dead, reflecting the complex and often harsh realities of existence. These gods of death were not mere symbols of the end, but guardians and guides, each with a distinct role in helping the departed transition from the mortal world to the next. They offered comfort and control over the unknown, presenting a framework within which humans could understand and cope with the inevitable end. Each culture's gods of death embodied the hopes, fears, and values of their people, serving as poignant reminders of the universal quest to understand what lies beyond life. In the shadowy corners of ancient Egyptian tombs, where darkness met eternity, Anubis stood as the guardian of the dead. With his jackal head and human body, he was more than just a figure of myth. He was a beacon for those navigating the perilous journey from life to the afterlife. Anubis was not a god who lurked in fearsome silence. He was a protector and guide, whose presence brought both reassurance and awe. The ancient Egyptians believed that when a person died, their soul faced a daunting passage to the underworld. It was Anubis who would greet them at this critical juncture, his jackal-like features a symbol of vigilance and watchfulness. His role began with the sacred act of mummification, a process that was both an art and a rite. Anubis was intimately involved in preparing the deceased for their journey. Priests who performed these rituals would call upon Anubis, believing that his presence ensured the soul's safe passage. The careful wrapping of the body and the placement of amulets were not just procedures, they were acts of devotion and respect, guided by the belief that Anubis would watch over them. Anubis's influence extended far beyond the ritual chamber. His role in the afterlife was to lead the departed to the Hall of Two Truths, where their heart would be weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. This moment was fraught with tension. If the heart was light, it meant the soul had lived a righteous life and was granted entry into the paradise of the field of reeds. If heavy with sin, the soul faced the terrifying jaws of Ammit, the devourer. Anubis's presence at this moment was a source of both dread and hope. He was the one who would ensure that the scales were balanced fairly. The depiction of Anubis in ancient Egyptian art often portrayed him as a black jackal or a man with a jackal's head. This imagery was not chosen lightly. The jackal, known for scavenging in cemeteries, symbolized Anubis's role as a protector of graves and the dead. His black fur was a representation of the fertile soil of the Nile, which was also linked to regeneration and rebirth. This connection to the cycle of life and death reinforced Anubis's role as a deity who bridged the gap between the mortal world and the afterlife. To the ancient Egyptians, Anubis was more than a figure of death. He was a symbol of continuity and protection. He was a guardian who not only ensured that the deceased made it to the next life, but also that their journey was filled with the reverence and care they deserved. His presence was a constant reassurance that even in death, there was someone who watched over them with a gentle, guiding hand. The rituals surrounding Anubis were elaborate and full of meaning. From the moment of death, the deceased were prepared with the utmost care, every detail meticulously attended to in hopes of securing Anubis's favor. The mummification process, the careful placement of amulets, and the recitation of spells were acts imbued with hope and trust in Anubis's protective power. As time passed, the mythology of Anubis evolved, but his core role remained unchanged. He continued to be a figure of comfort and authority, representing the promise of safe passage and just judgment. His significance in ancient Egyptian beliefs was profound, as he embodied the very essence of the transition between life and death. His image was a reminder that while death was an end, it was also a new beginning, one that was guided and protected by a deity who cared deeply for the souls of the departed. In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the Nile's waters whispered tales of eternity, Osiris reigned as the god of the afterlife. His story is one of profound sorrow and miraculous rebirth, touching the hearts of those who believed in his power. Osiris was not just a deity, he was a symbol of hope and renewal. As the god of the afterlife, he was intimately connected with the concept of resurrection. His legend began with a tragic betrayal and murder that echoed through the corridors of Egyptian mythology. The tale of Osiris is a story of love and loss. Once a beloved king of Egypt, he was betrayed by his own brother, Set, who was consumed by jealousy and ambition. Set's treachery led to Osiris's brutal murder and dismemberment. His body was scattered across the land, and it seemed as if the light had been extinguished forever. But Osiris's story did not end with his death. His devoted wife, Isis, was determined to restore him. With unwavering love and fierce determination, Isis embarked on a quest to find and piece together Osiris's scattered body. Her journey was filled with trials and challenges, but her devotion never wavered. When she finally succeeded, Osiris was resurrected, though not to live as a mortal once more. Instead, he became the eternal ruler of the afterlife. Osiris's resurrection was not just a return from death, it was a profound transformation. He became the god who presided over the dead, offering them the promise of rebirth and eternal life. In this role, he provided comfort to those who mourned their loved ones, assuring them that death was not an end but a passage to a new, everlasting existence. The influence of Osiris on Egyptian religion was immense. His story was not only a source of inspiration but also a foundation for Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife. The myth of Osiris taught that life after death was attainable for those who lived virtuously. The concept of resurrection and eternal life became central to Egyptian spirituality, shaping their funerary practices and beliefs about the afterlife. Temples dedicated to Osiris became places of pilgrimage, where people came to honor him and seek his favor. His rituals were intricate and deeply symbolic, reflecting the profound hope that his followers placed in his power to grant eternal life. The annual Osiris Mysteries, which reenacted his death and resurrection, were a reminder of his triumph over death and a celebration of the cycle of life. In art, Osiris was often depicted as a mummified figure, wearing the Atef crown and holding the crook and flail, symbols of kingship and authority. His image was a powerful reminder of his role as the guardian of the afterlife and the promise of rebirth. The sight of Osiris's likeness was a source of comfort, a tangible reminder that even in death, there was hope and salvation. The impact of Osiris's story extended far beyond his own myth. It influenced the way the ancient Egyptians viewed death and the afterlife. His resurrection became a powerful symbol of the possibility of life after death, a belief that shaped their practices and their understanding of existence. Osiris's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of faith and hope. His story is a poignant reminder that even in the face of betrayal and death, love and devotion can lead to miraculous outcomes. As the god of the afterlife, Osiris offered a beacon of hope to those who faced the end of their mortal lives, assuring them that beyond death lay a promise of renewal and eternal existence. In the silent depths of the ancient Greek underworld, where shadows flicker and echoes linger, Hades ruled with a quiet, commanding presence. As the god of the underworld, Hades was a figure of both awe and mystery, presiding over a domain that was as vast as it was enigmatic. Hades' world was not merely a dark abyss, but a complex realm where every soul found its place after death. His role was not just to oversee this shadowy expanse, but to maintain the balance between life and death. In his hands lay the responsibility of ensuring that the souls of the departed were treated with justice and order. Hades' domain was divided into several regions, each serving a different purpose in the grand scheme of the afterlife. The most well-known part of his realm was the gloomy but orderly place where the souls of the deceased went to rest. Here, there was no eternal torment as many myths might suggest, but a place of quiet reflection and separation from the world of the living. It was a place where souls lingered, each finding their own sort of peace or sorrow depending on their earthly lives. But Hades was not a god who sat passively in his darkened halls. He was a ruler with a clear sense of duty. His presence was felt in every corner of his underworld, from the Elysian fields, where the virtuous enjoyed a form of paradise, to the gloomy realm of Tartarus, where the wicked faced their punishments. Hades ensured that each soul received their due, balancing the scales of justice with a firm yet fair hand. His relationship with the other gods and mortals was complex and multifaceted. Hades was often misunderstood, cast as a figure of fear and darkness. Yet, he was not the harbinger of doom but rather the guardian of the balance between life and death. Unlike the fiery imagery of hell from other traditions, Hades' underworld was more a place of inevitability and order. His role was essential to the natural cycle, and without his presence, the balance of life and death would falter. One of the most touching aspects of Hades' mythology is his relationship with Persephone, the queen of the underworld. Their story began with a myth of abduction but evolved into one of profound connection. When Hades took Persephone to be his queen, it was not out of mere possession but out of a deep, genuine affection. Persephone's presence in the underworld brought a touch of light and warmth to Hades' dark realm, making it more than just a place of shadows and silence. Their bond had a significant impact on the world above. Persephone's annual return to the earth marked the arrival of spring and summer, a time of renewal and growth. Her departure to the underworld signaled the arrival of autumn and winter, a period of rest and reflection. Through this cycle, Hades was intricately connected with the rhythms of nature, highlighting his role as a deity who governed not just the dead but also influenced the living world. Despite his role as the god of the underworld, Hades' interactions with mortals were often marked by his strict sense of justice rather than cruelty. He was not a god who sought to punish for the sake of punishment, but rather to maintain the balance of the natural order. His decisions were rarely arbitrary, they were guided by the principles of fairness and necessity. The depiction of Hades in Greek mythology was both powerful and poignant. He was often shown as a stern, dark figure, but not without compassion or depth. His rule over the underworld was a reflection of his commitment to his role, maintaining the integrity of the afterlife and ensuring that the souls of the departed found their rightful place. Hades' influence extended beyond mere governance. His very presence in Greek mythology shaped how the ancient Greeks viewed death and the afterlife. He represented the inevitable end that awaited everyone, a reminder of the balance between life and death. Yet, he also embodied the idea that death was not something to be feared but an essential part of the cosmic order. In the end, Hades was more than just a god of the underworld, he was a guardian of the balance that sustains the natural world. His role was crucial in maintaining the harmony between the living and the dead, ensuring that each soul's journey was met with justice and respect. His presence, while often hidden in shadows, was a profound reminder of the delicate balance that governs all of existence. Persephone's story is one of heartache, transformation, and enduring love. As the queen of the Greek underworld, she embodies both the sorrow of her dark domain and the renewal of life that graces the world above. Her tale intertwines with the rhythms of nature, making her a figure of profound significance in Greek mythology. Persephone's life took a dramatic turn when she was abducted by Hades, the god of the underworld. This wasn't just a tale of kidnapping, but a story that marked the beginning of her dual existence. In the depths of the underworld, she became the queen, ruling alongside Hades and bringing a touch of grace to the shadowy realm. Despite the darkness around her, Persephone's presence was a beacon of light and hope for the souls residing there. Her role in the underworld was not just about ruling, but also about embodying the transition between life and death. Persephone was a bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. Her dual role highlighted the complex nature of existence, where joy and sorrow, life and death, are intertwined in a delicate balance. Yet, Persephone's story does not end in the shadows. Every year, when the earth blooms with the colors of spring and summer, Persephone returns to the surface. This return marks a time of rebirth and renewal. Her presence brings life back to the world, awakening the flowers, trees, and fields that lay dormant during the colder months. Her return is a symbol of hope and renewal, a reminder that even after the harshest of winters, life can start anew. The cycle of Persephone's return to the underworld and her emergence into the world above reflects the changing seasons. Her time in the underworld corresponds with autumn and winter, when the earth is in repose. Her return heralds spring and summer, a period of growth and vibrant life. This cyclical pattern is more than just a seasonal change, it represents the eternal rhythm of life and death, a reminder of the continuous flow of existence. Persephone's influence on the Greek afterlife is profound. As the queen of the underworld, she played a crucial role in welcoming souls to their final resting place. Her presence was not just a comforting one but a powerful reminder of the connection between life and death. She helped to ease the transition for the souls entering the underworld, offering them a sense of grace and acceptance in their new existence. Her story also highlights the role of women in mythology, showing that they could be both powerful and compassionate figures. Persephone's journey from a maiden abducted by Hades to a queen who commands respect in the underworld is a testament to her strength and resilience. Her influence extended beyond her role in the underworld, it was felt in the very cycles of life that governed the natural world. In every tale told about Persephone, there is a deep sense of the intertwined nature of life and death. Her dual role as both a ruler of the underworld and a bringer of spring captures the essence of this balance. Her presence in the myths serves as a poignant reminder that life, even in its darkest moments, is always followed by the promise of renewal and hope. Persephone's story continues to touch the hearts of those who hear it, reflecting the timeless dance between light and darkness that defines the human experience. In the dim corridors of ancient Greek mythology, Thanatos stands as a figure both solemn and profound. As the personification of death, he is not merely a god of the underworld, but a representation of death itself, an inevitability that all must face. His presence evokes a sense of quiet finality and deep reflection on the nature of existence. Thanatos is often depicted as a serene and unassuming figure. Unlike the dramatic portrayals of other deities, his appearance is understated. He is usually shown as a winged spirit or a young man with a calm, even expression. His wings signify the swift and certain nature of death, while his calm demeanor suggests the peacefulness that can follow life's end. There is no malice in his presence, rather, Thanatos embodies a gentle, though inescapable, force. In mythology, Thanatos is not a being who actively seeks out souls or inflicts suffering. His role is more about the natural process of death rather than the administration of an afterlife. He represents the end of life and the transition to the next stage, rather than the judgment or the governance of the afterlife. His duty is to escort souls to the threshold of the underworld, where their journey continues under the watchful eyes of other deities. Thanatos' role is often contrasted with that of Hades, the ruler of the underworld. While Hades presides over the realm of the dead and manages the souls once they arrive, Thanatos' function is to guide them there. Hades governs the underworld with a sense of order and justice, ensuring that souls are properly assigned to their respective places. Thanatos, on the other hand, is the gentle yet unavoidable force that brings about the end of earthly life. In the myths, Thanatos is depicted in a number of poignant stories. One of the most notable is his encounter with the hero Sisyphus. Sisyphus, known for his cunning and defiance, managed to trick Thanatos and evade death for a time. This myth highlights Thanatos' role as a necessary and impartial force. Even though Sisyphus tried to cheat death, Thanatos' role as the embodiment of death remained unshaken. His calm, relentless nature is a reminder of the inescapable reality of mortality. In it. Another poignant story involves the tale of Orpheus, who ventured into the underworld to retrieve his beloved Eurydice. Despite his enchanting music, it was Thanatos, along with other underworld deities, who observed and ultimately respected the terms of the bargain. This story emphasizes Thanatos' role in the natural order of life and death, showcasing his part in the grander scheme of the afterlife rather than his active interference in it. Thanatos' character provides a sharp contrast to the more vivid and dramatic figures in Greek mythology. His presence is marked by a serene acceptance of death, a quiet force that ensures the natural cycle continues. His role is not one of judgment or punishment, but rather of transition and passage. In his calm demeanor, there is a sense of respect for the life that has been lived and the inevitable end that follows. Through Thanatos, the Greeks personified the inevitable end that touches every life. His role is to remind us of the natural order, a force that, while often feared, is an essential part of existence. His presence in mythology is a reflection of the respect and acceptance of death as a fundamental aspect of life, guiding souls gently into the next chapter of their journey. In the shadowy reaches of Norse mythology, where the chill of the underworld meets the frost of eternity, Hel reigns with a somber grace. As the goddess of the underworld, she embodies both the end of mortal life and the solemn acceptance of what follows. Her domain is a place of quiet reflection, where the dead find their final rest, far from the fiery battles of Valhalla. Hel's appearance is both striking and haunting. She is often depicted as having a split visage. One half of her body is living and whole, while the other half is decayed and rotting. This unsettling imagery reflects her role as the ruler of the dead, embodying both life and death in her person. This duality symbolizes the complex nature of death itself, an end that is both feared and accepted, a transition that is both final and inevitable. Her realm, also called Hel, is a place of gloom and cold, a stark contrast to the fiery realms of other mythologies. Unlike the Elysian Fields or the Greek underworld's divisions, Hel's domain is more of a singular, somber land where the souls of those who did not die in battle find their rest. This is not a place of punishment, but rather a realm of quiet, where the deceased live in a state of muted existence. It is a place where they await the end of the world, a final event that would bring about the ultimate transformation. In Norse mythology, Hell plays a crucial role in the eschatological events known as Ragnarok, the end of the world. As the world prepares for this final battle, Hell's domain becomes a significant part of the narrative. The dead in her realm are believed to rise to join the forces that will fight against the gods and heroes in the final confrontation. This reflects the idea that death is not an end, but a part of the ongoing cycle of existence, where even the dead have a role in shaping the fate of the cosmos. Hell's influence extends beyond just her role as the ruler of the dead. She represents the concept of death in a way that is deeply intertwined with Norse beliefs about fate and destiny. Her presence is a reminder of the inevitability of death and the acceptance of it as a natural part of the cosmic order. Her realm, while not one of eternal torment, is a place where the dead must wait until the end of time, reflecting the Norse view of death as a transitional phase rather than a final end. One of the most poignant aspects of Hell's mythology is her connection to the living. Her realm is not one of isolation, but rather a place where the dead continue to exist, albeit in a state of quiet waiting. This connection to the living world is highlighted in stories where characters interact with Hell or her realm, seeking to understand or change their fate. Hell's role as a gatekeeper to the afterlife reflects the Norse belief in the close relationship between the living and the dead, a connection that persists even after death. Hell's presence in Norse mythology serves as a powerful reminder of the inevitability of death and the continuity of life beyond it. Her domain, with its cold and somber atmosphere, contrasts sharply with the more vibrant or fiery depictions of the afterlife in other mythologies. Yet, it is through this contrast that her role becomes clear. She embodies the acceptance of death as a natural part of the cosmic order, a transition that, while marked by finality, is also part of the ongoing cycle of existence. In the end, Hell's story is a testament to the Norse understanding of death and the afterlife. Her realm is not one of endless torment, but a place where the dead find their place in the grand tapestry of existence. As the goddess of the underworld, she stands as a solemn figure, reminding us of the quiet acceptance that follows the end of mortal life and the role of the dead in the grand narrative of the cosmos. In the vast tapestry of Hindu mythology, Yama stands as a figure of both reverence and respect, embodying the profound concept of death and the afterlife. His presence is both majestic and solemn, marking the end of life with a sense of balance and justice. Yama's origins are rooted in ancient texts and myths, where he is often described as one of the first beings to die and thus the ruler of the afterlife. His story begins as a celestial being who, in the very early stages of existence, was assigned the role of overseeing the dead. This unique position granted him authority over the souls of the departed, making him a figure of both justice and compassion. In Hinduism, Yama is not merely a god of death, but a guardian of the natural order. His role involves guiding souls to their next destination, ensuring that each soul is treated with fairness. He maintains the balance of karma, the principle of cause and effect, which governs the moral quality of actions in life. Those who lived righteous lives are guided to favorable outcomes, while those who led less virtuous lives face the consequences of their actions in the afterlife. Yama is often depicted with a stern but just demeanor. In many texts, he is shown riding a buffalo and carrying a noose, which symbolizes his role in guiding the souls of the departed. His appearance reflects his serious duty, yet there is a sense of calm and authority in his presence. This depiction reinforces his role as a figure who manages the transition from life to death with both firmness and fairness. One of the most moving aspects of Yama's role is his connection to the concept of dharma, or duty. He is seen not just as an enforcer of death, but as a guardian of the moral order. His actions are guided by the principles of justice, ensuring that every soul receives its due based on the deeds performed during their lifetime. This connection to Dharma highlights the deeply ingrained belief in the importance of living a righteous life and the consequences that follow beyond death. In various texts, Yama's influence extends beyond mere rulership. In the Mahabharata, he is portrayed as the father of the righteous Yudhishthira, one of the epic's central figures. This relationship underscores Yama's role as a divine figure who bridges the gap between life and death, offering guidance and wisdom to those who seek it. His interactions with the living in these stories emphasize his role as a compassionate and fair deity, one who oversees the end of life with a sense of purpose and care. Yama's role in Hinduism also includes the concept of judgment. Souls are believed to be judged based on their actions in life, and Yama's duty is to ensure that this judgment is fair and just. This aspect of his role highlights the deep-seated belief in moral accountability and the idea that actions have consequences that extend beyond death. Yama's presence is a reminder of the importance of living a life aligned with ethical principles and the impact of one's actions on their eternal journey. The reverence for Yama in Hindu culture reflects a broader understanding of death as a natural and integral part of life. His role as the god of death is not one of fear, but of respect and recognition of the natural order. He embodies the transition from life to the afterlife with a sense of dignity and responsibility, guiding souls with the same fairness that governs his role as a divine figure. In the grand narrative of Hindu mythology, Yama's story is a poignant reminder of the balance between life and death. His role as the guardian of the afterlife and the enforcer of karma highlights the deep respect for the natural order and the moral principles that guide existence. His depiction in texts and his influence on Hindu thought underscore the importance of living a life of righteousness and the understanding that death is not an end, but a continuation of the soul's journey. Through his presence, Yama imparts a sense of peace and acceptance about the inevitability of death. His role as a just and compassionate deity offers comfort and assurance, reminding us that even in the face of mortality, there is a higher order that governs our existence and our journey beyond. In the ancient Vedic texts, a figure of immense gravity and profound significance emerges, Yamraj, the god of death. His presence in the Vedic tradition is both formidable and reflective of the early understanding of death and the afterlife. Though often compared with Yama, his role and characteristics offer a distinct portrayal of the god who governs the end of life. Yamraj's story begins in the Vedic scriptures, where he is depicted as a powerful and authoritative deity overseeing the realm of the dead. Unlike Yama, who is deeply integrated into the later Hindu mythology and known for his role in guiding souls and maintaining moral order, Yamraj's influence in the Vedic texts is more focused on his authority over death itself. His role is less about moral judgment and more about the administration of death and the transition of souls from the world of the living to the afterlife. Yamraj is often portrayed as a formidable figure, riding a buffalo and wielding a club, symbolizing his dominion over the end of life. His depiction is both awe-inspiring and intimidating, reflecting his role as a powerful enforcer of the natural order. This portrayal contrasts with the more nuanced image of Yama in later Hinduism, where Yama is depicted with a more balanced and just demeanor, embodying both life and death in his persona. Despite these differences, there are similarities between Yamraj and Yama. Both deities are closely associated with death and the afterlife, and both serve as significant figures in the spiritual journey of the soul. They share a common role in guiding souls to their final destination and ensuring the smooth transition from life to death. However, while Yama is seen as a guardian of moral order and karma, Yamraj's role is more about the inevitable end of life, emphasizing the finality and inevitability of death. Yamraj's influence on later Hinduism is notable, as his role and characteristics evolved into those of Yama, who became a more complex figure in the subsequent religious tradition. Over time, the earlier Vedic understanding of Yamraj as a stern and authoritative figure transformed into the more nuanced and compassionate depiction of Yama. This evolution reflects a broader shift in Hindu thought, where the focus expanded from merely administering death to also encompassing the principles of karma and moral justice. In the later texts, Yama inherits some of Yamraj's attributes but also acquires additional layers of meaning. While Yamraj's role was primarily concerned with the administration of death, Yama's role integrates the concepts of moral judgment and the management of the afterlife. Yama becomes not just a ruler of the dead, but also a figure who ensures that the souls are judged fairly and guided according to their deeds in life. This shift highlights the development of Hindu beliefs about the afterlife, where the focus moved from the inevitability of death to the broader implications of how one's actions impact their spiritual journey. The transition from Yamraj to Yama illustrates the dynamic nature of Hindu mythology and the way in which deities evolved to reflect changing religious and philosophical ideas. Yamraj's initial portrayal as a god of death set the stage for the more comprehensive role of Yama in later traditions, where the deity became a symbol of both the end of life and the moral order that governs existence. In the grand narrative of Hindu belief, Yamraj's story is a poignant reminder of the early understanding of death and its administration. His role as a powerful enforcer of the end of life reflects the Vedic perspective on mortality, where death is viewed as a necessary and inevitable part of existence. Over time, as Hinduism evolved, so did the understanding of death and the afterlife, leading to the more complex and compassionate figure of Yama. In the heart of the ancient Aztec world, where the power of gods intertwined with the very fabric of life and death, Mictlantecuhtli reigns supreme as the lord of the underworld. His presence is both awe-inspiring and somber, a figure who embodies the profound and often feared reality of death in Aztec culture. Mictlantecuhtli's domain is Mictlan, the Aztec underworld, a dark and mysterious place where souls journey after death. Unlike the more serene or poetic afterlives of other cultures, Mictlan is depicted as a realm of shadows and trials. It is a place that stretches out in the darkness, where souls must navigate through 9 layers of challenges to reach their final resting place. Each layer represents a different trial, reflecting the Aztec belief that the journey after death is fraught with obstacles that must be overcome before one can find peace. Mictlantecuhtli himself is portrayed as a figure both fearsome and evocative. His appearance is striking. He is often depicted with a skull-like face, wearing a headdress made of owl feathers and adorned with a necklace of human hearts. This ghastly visage reflects his role as the ruler of the dead, a deity who commands respect and reverence for his control over the end of life. His skeletal form is not merely a symbol of death, but a powerful reminder of the inescapable reality of mortality. In Aztec mythology, Mictlantecuhtli is not alone in his dominion over the underworld. He shares his realm with Mictecacihuatl, his wife, who is also known as the Lady of the Dead. Together, they rule over the souls of the deceased, ensuring that the natural order of life and death is maintained. Their partnership underscores the belief in balance and the interconnection between life and death, with each playing a crucial role in the cycle of existence. Rituals associated with Mictlantecuhtli were central to Aztec religious practices. These ceremonies were not just acts of worship but vital components of the cultural understanding of death. Offerings to Mictlantecuhtli often included items such as food, incense, and precious objects, meant to appease the lord of the underworld and ensure that the deceased received a proper send-off. The Aztecs believed that these rituals helped guide the souls through the treacherous journey of Mictlan, providing them with the necessary support to navigate the trials they would face. One of the most poignant rituals was the Day of the Dead, a festival dedicated to honoring the deceased and ensuring their peaceful journey through the underworld. During this time, families would prepare altars with offerings for their loved ones, creating a space where the dead could be remembered and celebrated. This tradition was not just about mourning, but about acknowledging the ongoing presence of the deceased in the lives of the living. It was a way of maintaining a connection with those who had passed, reflecting the deep respect and reverence the Aztecs held for their ancestors and the afterlife. Mictlantecuhtli's role as the lord of the underworld extends beyond mere governance. He embodies the profound respect for death as a natural and inevitable part of existence. His domain, with its dark and challenging layers, symbolizes the belief that death is not an end but a complex journey that requires courage and strength. The rituals and offerings made to him were an essential part of the cultural understanding of death, reflecting a worldview that saw the end of life as an important and sacred transition. The influence of Mictlantecuhtli in Aztec culture underscores the deep connection between life and death, with the underworld seen not as a place of torment but as a crucial aspect of the cosmic order. His presence in the mythology and rituals of the Aztec people is a testament to their reverence for the cycles of existence and their understanding of death as a journey to be respected and honored. Through Mictlantecuhtli, the Aztecs expressed their profound engagement with the mysteries of the afterlife, highlighting the intricate relationship between the living and the dead in their rich and vibrant cultural tapestry. In the heart of the Aztec pantheon, amidst the complex tapestry of gods and goddesses, Mictecacihuatl stands as a figure of profound significance. Known as the goddess of the underworld, her role in Aztec mythology is as crucial as it is haunting. Her presence speaks of both reverence and respect for the passage from life to death, embodying a deep understanding of the afterlife that shaped Aztec beliefs and rituals. Mictecacihuatl's role is intrinsically tied to Mictlan, the Aztec underworld, where she reigns alongside her husband, Mictlantecuhtli. Together, they oversee the realm of the dead, guiding souls through the dark, mysterious passages of their final journey. Her responsibilities go beyond mere administration. She plays a vital role in ensuring that the souls of the departed are cared for and respected as they make their way through the afterlife. Her depiction is striking and memorable, often portrayed with a skeletal face, reflecting her connection to the world of the dead. She is shown with a headdress of owl feathers and a necklace of human bones, symbols of her dominion over death and her role as a guardian of the underworld. This imagery is not just about fear, but about acknowledging the deep, inherent connection between life and death, highlighting the respect the Aztecs held for the transition between the two. Mictecacihuatl's significance in Aztec beliefs extends beyond her role as the queen of the underworld. She embodies the idea of death as a natural and essential part of existence. In Aztec culture, death was not something to be feared or avoided, but a crucial transition that was woven into the fabric of life. Her presence symbolizes the acceptance of death as a journey that all must undertake, and her role in guiding souls through the afterlife reflects the belief in a respectful and orderly passage from life to death. The rituals dedicated to Mictecacihuatl were an important aspect of Aztec religious practice. Offerings were made to her to ensure that the souls of the deceased were properly guided through Mictlan. These offerings included food, incense, and symbolic items meant to honor the goddess and secure her favor. By participating in these rituals, the living demonstrated their respect for the dead and their understanding of the importance of a smooth transition to the afterlife. One of the most poignant aspects of Mictecacihuatl's role is her connection to the Day of the Dead festival, a time when the Aztecs honored their ancestors and celebrated the lives of those who had passed away. During this festival, families would prepare altars with offerings for the deceased, creating a space where the dead could be remembered and celebrated. Mictecacihuatl's presence in this festival is a powerful reminder of the ongoing relationship between the living and the dead, reflecting the Aztec belief in the continuity of life and death. Her influence on Aztec beliefs is profound and far-reaching. Mictecacihuatl represents the intersection of life and death, embodying the respect and reverence that the Aztecs held for the natural cycle of existence. Her role as the goddess of the underworld is a testament to the Aztec understanding of death not as an end, but as a continuation of the soul's journey. Through her, the Aztecs expressed their deep engagement with the mysteries of the afterlife and their commitment to honoring the dead with the respect and care they deserved. In the grand narrative of Aztec mythology, Mictecacihuatl stands as a symbol of the profound connection between the living and the dead. Her role as the goddess of the underworld highlights the Aztec belief in the natural and essential nature of death, emphasizing the importance of respecting and honoring the souls of the deceased. Her depiction and significance in Aztec beliefs offer a moving and deeply emotional portrayal of the relationship between life and death, reflecting a culture that understood and embraced the journey beyond the mortal world with dignity and reverence. In the shadowy corners of ancient Greek mythology, beyond the well-known figures of Hades and Persephone, there exists a caste of lesser-known deities who preside over death and the underworld with their own unique roles and attributes. These chthonic deities, while not as prominent in the grand tales of gods and heroes, carry with them a profound and eerie significance that adds depth to the Greek understanding of the afterlife. One such deity is Thanatos, the personification of death. Unlike the more dramatic portrayals of death found in other myths, Thanatos embodies a quiet, inevitable force. He is often depicted as a somber figure, sometimes with wings, gently ushering souls to their final resting place. His presence is not one of terror, but of an inevitable end that all must face, a reminder of the natural and unalterable course of life. Anubis, another enigmatic figure, represents the darkness that exists in the underworld. Erebus is not merely a god of death, but a primordial force of darkness and shadow, from which all other chthonic deities emerge. His name itself evokes a sense of profound darkness, symbolizing the void that exists before the creation of light and life. Erebus's role in the myths is to highlight the deep, primordial forces that underlie the Greek concept of the afterlife, offering a glimpse into the ancient Greeks' understanding of the cosmos. Nyx, the goddess of the night, holds a special place among the chthonic deities. She is both a personification of the night and a primordial deity, embodying the enveloping darkness that covers the world. Nyx's influence extends into the underworld, where she is often seen as a powerful, almost mysterious force who governs over the realm of shadows. Her presence is a reminder of the darkness that pervades all aspects of existence, including the afterlife, and her role underscores the Greek belief in the interconnectedness of night and death. Persephone's role as queen of the underworld is well known, but her counterpart, Melano, is a more obscure figure. Melano is the daughter of Persephone and is associated with the ghosts of the dead. Her presence in the myths reflects the Greek belief in the haunting and restless spirits that linger in the underworld. Melano's role is to oversee these spirits, ensuring that they are properly guided and that their restless energies do not disturb the balance of the underworld. Another lesser-known chthonic deity is Hypnos, the god of sleep, who, while not directly a deity of death, plays a crucial role in the transition from life to death. Hypnos is often depicted as a gentle, soothing figure who provides rest and respite from the struggles of life. His presence is intimately connected to the process of dying, offering a peaceful release from the trials of existence and serving as a bridge between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. These chthonic deities, though not always at the forefront of Greek mythology, play essential roles in the understanding of death and the afterlife. Each one brings a unique aspect to the Greek conception of the underworld, contributing to a complex and richly textured view of what lies beyond life. Their roles, from guiding souls and embodying darkness to overseeing restless spirits and providing peace, reflect the depth and nuance with which the ancient Greeks approached the mysteries of death and the afterlife. In the shadowy depths of ancient Mesopotamian mythology, Ereshkigal reigns as the formidable queen of the underworld. Her presence in the pantheon of gods and goddesses is both powerful and enigmatic, reflecting a deep and ancient understanding of death and the afterlife. As the ruler of the underworld, Ereshkigal governs a realm that is both feared and respected, embodying the mystery and finality of death. Ereshkigal's domain is the vast, dark expanse of the underworld, a place where souls journey after their earthly lives have ended. Unlike the more serene or idyllic afterlives of other mythologies, the Mesopotamian underworld is depicted as a somber and shadowy realm. It is a place where the souls of the deceased reside in a state of stillness, separated from the world of the living. Ereshkigal, as its queen, presides over this silent and desolate land with a sense of authority and gravity. In the myths, Ereshkigal is often portrayed as a stern and distant figure, her power rooted in her control over the afterlife. She is a goddess who commands respect and awe, her presence a reminder of the inevitability and permanence of death. Her character is shaped by the somber nature of her realm, where the souls of the dead are judged and receive their eternal rest. This role underscores the profound and unchanging nature of the afterlife, reflecting the Mesopotamian view of death as a final and unalterable transition. One of the most poignant stories involving Ereshkigal is the myth of her encounter with the goddess Inanna. Inanna, the goddess of love and fertility, descends into the underworld to visit her sister, Ereshkigal. This journey is not merely a visit but a profound and dangerous descent into the heart of death itself. During her time in the underworld, Inanna faces trials and tribulations, highlighting the harsh and unyielding nature of Ereshkigal's domain. The story reflects the ancient belief in the perilous and often unpredictable nature of the afterlife, as well as the power and authority of Ereshkigal over this mysterious realm. The influence of Ereshkigal in Mesopotamian mythology extends beyond her role as queen of the underworld. Her presence is a reminder of the respect and reverence with which the ancient Mesopotamians approached the concept of death. In their view, Ereshkigal's domain was not a place of torment but a crucial and inevitable part of the cosmic order. Her role in the myths serves to underscore the importance of acknowledging and respecting the forces that govern life and death, highlighting the balance between the two realms. Ereshkigal's influence is also seen in the rituals and practices of ancient Mesopotamian culture. Offerings and prayers were made to her to ensure that the souls of the deceased were properly cared for and guided in their journey through the underworld. These practices reflect a deep-seated belief in the importance of maintaining a respectful and harmonious relationship with the goddess of the dead. By honoring Ereshkigal, the living demonstrated their understanding of the significance of death and the need to ensure a smooth transition for the souls of their loved ones. In her role as the queen of the underworld, Ereshkigal embodies the profound and often somber nature of death. Her domain is a place of stillness and reflection, a stark contrast to the vibrant and active world of the living. Her influence in Mesopotamian mythology highlights the importance of respecting the forces that govern the afterlife and acknowledging the deep and often mysterious nature of death. Through her stories and role in the pantheon, Ereshkigal offers a powerful and moving portrayal of the relationship between life and the beyond, reflecting a culture that approached death with reverence and respect. In the ancient lands of Babylon and Assyria, where gods and goddesses shaped the destiny of empires, Nergal stands as a figure of intense and formidable power. Known as the god of death and war, Nergal is a deity whose presence commands both fear and respect. His roles and attributes paint a portrait of a divine force that governs over the darker aspects of existence with a fierce and unyielding hand. Nergal's role as the god of death places him at the heart of the Mesopotamian understanding of the afterlife. He is not just a figure of death, but a powerful force who presides over the finality of life with a stern and uncompromising authority. His dominion extends over the underworld, a place where the souls of the deceased find their eternal rest. Nergal's role here is not merely administrative. He is a god who ensures that the passage from life to death is marked by the gravity and respect it deserves. But Nergal's influence goes beyond the realm of the dead. As a god of war, he embodies the destructive and chaotic aspects of conflict. His presence on the battlefield is a reminder of the raw and uncontrollable forces that drive humanity to clash. Nergal's dual role as both a deity of death and war reflects a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of life, death, and conflict. His power is both a force of destruction and a necessary aspect of the divine order, symbolizing the inevitability of death and the chaos of war as fundamental elements of existence. Nergal's attributes are as striking as his roles. He is often depicted with a fierce and intimidating demeanor, embodying the qualities of strength and ferocity. His imagery includes symbols of war and death, such as weapons and the lion-headed figure, representing his power and authority. This depiction is not merely about fear, but about the respect and awe that the ancient Babylonians and Assyrians held for the forces of death and conflict. Nergal's appearance is a testament to the deep reverence with which these cultures approached the gods who governed the most intense aspects of their lives. In Babylonian and Assyrian cultures, Nergal's significance extends into rituals and worship practices. Offerings and prayers were made to honor him and seek his favor in both life and death. The living would call upon Nergal to ensure protection and victory in battle, reflecting the belief in his power to influence the outcomes of human conflict. In matters of death, rituals were performed to appease Nergal and ensure a respectful transition for the souls of the deceased. These practices highlight the integral role that Nergal played in the daily lives and spiritual beliefs of the ancient Mesopotamians. Nergal's influence is also evident in the myths and stories that surround him. One of the most poignant tales involves his descent into the underworld, where he encounters other deities and faces trials that test his strength and resolve. This myth reflects the ancient belief in the trials and tribulations that gods must face, and it underscores Nergal's role as a powerful and unyielding force who governs over the realm of death with authority and determination. Through his roles as both a god of death and war, Nergal offers a moving and powerful portrayal of the forces that shape existence. His presence in Babylonian and Assyrian mythology reflects a deep understanding of the interconnected nature of life, death, and conflict. Nergal is a deity whose power and authority are woven into the very fabric of human experience, representing the profound and often tumultuous aspects of existence with a fierce and commanding presence. His legacy in ancient Mesopotamian culture is a testament to the reverence and respect with which the people of these civilizations approached the divine forces that governed their world. In the rich tapestry of Egyptian mythology, the divine couple Osiris and Isis stands as a powerful symbol of love, death, and resurrection. Their intertwined roles weave a story that is both tragic and uplifting, embodying the eternal struggle between life and death and the hope of rebirth. Osiris, once a revered king of Egypt, met a tragic fate at the hands of his envious brother, Set. Betrayed and murdered, his body was cast into the Nile and lost. But his story does not end with death. Osiris's journey through the afterlife and his eventual resurrection is a testament to the enduring power of love and the promise of new beginnings. His death marked a period of mourning, but his return to life symbolizes the renewal that follows every end. Isis, Osiris's devoted wife, plays a crucial role in this powerful narrative. Known for her deep love and unyielding determination, Isis embarked on a perilous quest to retrieve her husband's body. Her devotion was unwavering, driven by a love that transcended even the boundaries of life and death. Guided by hope and determination, she traveled through the land, enduring countless hardships to bring Osiris back to her. Her search is not merely a physical journey but a profound testament to the lengths to which she would go to restore her beloved. With the body of Osiris finally retrieved, Isis performed a miraculous act of magic. Using her divine powers, she revived Osiris long enough to conceive their son, Horus. This moment of resurrection is a powerful symbol of renewal and hope. Osiris's return, though brief, heralds the promise of eternal life and the continuation of his royal lineage through Horus. In this act of resurrection, Osiris does not merely return to life, he transforms into a deity of the afterlife, ruling over the underworld and ensuring that the cycle of life and death continues. The myth of Osiris and Isis is not just a story of death and rebirth, but also a reflection of the broader themes of the Egyptian belief in the afterlife. Osiris's role as the god of the underworld represents the final destination of all souls, while his resurrection symbolizes the possibility of eternal life. Isis, as the nurturing and protective mother, embodies the promise of hope and the power of love to overcome even the darkest challenges. Their intertwined roles highlight the profound belief in the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth that lies at the heart of Egyptian spirituality. Through their story, the divine couple teaches a powerful lesson about the resilience of love and the enduring nature of hope. The narrative transcends time and culture, offering a moving portrayal of the ways in which love can triumph over death and the eternal possibility of renewal. The story of Osiris and Isis is a poignant reminder of the interconnectedness of life and death and the unbreakable bonds that hold us together even in the face of the greatest challenges. Samael, the angel of death in Jewish folklore, stands as a figure both feared and revered, embodying the profound and often unsettling nature of mortality. In the tapestry of Jewish belief, Samael's role as the angel of death is complex and deeply intertwined with themes of fate, justice, and the afterlife. His presence is a reminder of the inevitable end that awaits all living beings, and his influence extends through various traditions and beliefs. In Jewish folklore, Samael is often depicted as a somber and formidable figure, tasked with guiding souls from the world of the living to the afterlife. Unlike the more benign or comforting portrayals of death in other traditions, Samael represents the stark reality of mortality. His role is not to bring suffering but to ensure that the transition from life to death is handled with the gravity it deserves. Samael's presence in this role underscores the seriousness with which the Jewish tradition views the end of life, reflecting a deep respect for the process of passing from one existence to another. Kabbalistic traditions, which explore the mystical and esoteric aspects of Judaism, offer a more nuanced view of Samael. In Kabbalah, Samael is sometimes associated with the Sephirah of severity, representing judgment and the darker aspects of divine justice. Here, Samael is not merely an angel of death, but a complex figure who embodies the balance between mercy and justice. His role is to execute divine will with precision, ensuring that every soul's journey is aligned with the cosmic order. This portrayal highlights the belief that death is not an arbitrary end, but a necessary component of a greater divine plan. Samael's influence extends beyond Jewish folklore and Kabbalistic traditions, impacting later beliefs and interpretations. Over time, Samael has been absorbed into various mystical and theological frameworks, where his role as the angel of death continues to evolve. In some traditions, he is seen as a figure who balances the scales of life and death, ensuring that every soul receives its due according to divine justice. This adaptation of Samael's role reflects the enduring fascination within reverence for the concept of death and the afterlife. The stories and teachings surrounding Samael are imbued with a sense of solemnity and awe. His presence is a reminder of the fragility of life and the certainty of death. In Jewish thought, Samael's role is not one of cruelty but of necessary transition, guiding souls with a firm but fair hand. His influence serves as a poignant reminder of the divine order that governs life and death, reflecting the belief that every soul's journey is part of a larger, incomprehensible plan. Samael's impact is also felt in the broader context of religious and philosophical discussions about mortality. His role as the angel of death challenges us to confront the reality of our own mortality and to reflect on the meaning and purpose of our lives. By engaging with Samael's story, individuals are prompted to consider their own beliefs about death and the afterlife, and to seek a deeper understanding of the divine forces that shape our existence. In essence, Samael represents a profound and often unsettling aspect of human experience. His role as the angel of death is a reminder of the inevitability of mortality and the importance of facing this reality with grace and acceptance. Through his presence in Jewish folklore and Kabbalistic traditions, Samael challenges us to confront the mysteries of life and death and to seek a greater understanding of the divine order that governs our existence. In the world of Buddhist mythology, Mara stands as a powerful and enigmatic figure, embodying the forces of temptation and death that challenge the spiritual journey. Mara's role is not merely to bring an end to life, but to present the ultimate test for those seeking enlightenment. His presence in Buddhist teachings is a reminder of the profound struggles that one must overcome on the path to liberation. Mara is often depicted as a tempter, a being who seeks to distract and deter individuals from their quest for enlightenment. His methods are cunning and insidious, designed to exploit the fears and desires that bind people to the cycle of suffering and rebirth. Rather than being a god of death in the traditional sense, Mara's influence lies in his ability to sow doubt and lead people away from the path of spiritual awakening. He represents the inner obstacles that each person must confront, such as attachment, ignorance, and fear. One of Mara's most notable appearances in Buddhist lore is during the moment of the Buddha's enlightenment. As Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, meditated under the Bodhi tree, Mara sought to disrupt his quest. He unleashed a storm of temptation, sending his daughters to seduce the Buddha and attempting to intimidate him with terrifying visions. Despite Mara's relentless efforts, Siddhartha remained steadfast, overcoming each challenge with unwavering determination. This pivotal moment highlights Mara's role as a symbol of the inner struggles that must be transcended to achieve spiritual enlightenment. Mara's influence is not limited to his attempts to thwart the Buddha. In Buddhist teachings, he serves as a representation of the fundamental fears and desires that ensnare all beings in the cycle of samsara, or the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. By embodying these temptations, Mara reminds practitioners of the importance of overcoming their inner demons to attain liberation. His presence underscores the belief that the greatest obstacles to enlightenment are not external forces, but the internal barriers that arise from one's own mind and heart. The concept of death in Buddhism is intricately linked with Mara's role. Death is viewed not as a final end, but as a transition within the cycle of samsara. Mara, in his capacity as a tempter, personifies the fear and confusion that often accompany the thought of death. His attempts to distract and deter individuals reflect the struggle to come to terms with the impermanence of life and the inevitability of death. In this context, Mara's role becomes a profound symbol of the deeper existential challenges that individuals must face as they seek to transcend the cycle of suffering. Through the figure of Mara, Buddhist teachings offer a poignant perspective on the nature of temptation and the path to enlightenment. His presence serves as a reminder of the intense internal and external struggles that define the human experience. By confronting and overcoming Mara's temptations, individuals move closer to liberation, finding peace in the face of life's inherent challenges. Mara's role highlights the essential truth that true enlightenment requires not only understanding but also the strength to overcome the deepest fears and desires that bind us to suffering. In essence, Mara embodies the complex interplay between temptation, fear, and the quest for spiritual awakening. His influence on Buddhist mythology and teachings underscores the profound challenges that must be faced to attain enlightenment. By recognizing and confronting the temptations that Mara represents, individuals can find their way to liberation, discovering peace amidst the trials of existence. In the ancient Sumerian world, the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld is both haunting and poignant, embodying themes of death, resurrection, and the eternal struggle between life and the afterlife. At the heart of this myth is the powerful goddess Inanna and her encounter with Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld. Their story is a dramatic and moving tale that explores the profound implications of life, death, and rebirth. Inanna, the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, was a figure of immense power and allure. Driven by a desire to explore the mysteries of death and to expand her influence, Inanna embarked on a perilous journey to the underworld, a realm ruled by her older sister, Ereshkigal. Her descent was not merely a physical journey but a symbolic one, representing a profound confrontation with the dark and often frightening aspects of existence. Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld, was a figure who governed the land of the dead with a firm hand. Unlike the vibrant and life-affirming Inanna, Ereshkigal represented the solemn and unyielding nature of death. Her domain was a place of shadow and silence, where the souls of the departed awaited their final fate. Despite their differences, the relationship between Ereshkigal and Inanna is marked by a deep and complex connection, reflecting the interplay between life and death. As Inanna descended through the 7 gates of the underworld, she was stripped of her divine garments, a symbolic gesture of shedding her former self. At each gate, she was met with challenges and stripped of her power, until she stood before Ereshkigal in a state of vulnerability and nakedness. This stark transformation highlights the theme of death as a process of profound loss and vulnerability, stripping away all that is familiar and comfortable. Ereshkigal, upon seeing her sister, was initially enraged but ultimately allowed Inanna to confront her. Inanna's presence in the underworld was not merely a visit but a challenge to the established order, a confrontation with the very essence of mortality. The tension between the two sisters reached a climax when Inanna was sentenced to death by Ereshkigal, symbolizing the inevitable and often harsh reality of death. Yet, the myth does not end in despair. Inanna's story takes a dramatic turn when she is resurrected, thanks to the intervention of the god Enki, who sends beings to restore her to life. Inanna's return from the underworld is not simply a miraculous escape but a testament to the cyclical nature of existence. Her resurrection embodies the promise of renewal and the possibility of rebirth, highlighting the interconnectedness of life and death. Inanna's journey and resurrection have deep implications for understanding the human experience. Her descent into the underworld and subsequent return symbolizes the enduring cycle of life, death, and rebirth that transcends individual existence. The story reflects the belief that death is not an end but a passage, a part of a larger cycle that leads to new beginnings. The myth of Inanna and Ereshkigal offers a profound exploration of the nature of mortality and the transformative power of death. It illustrates the ways in which confronting the darkness of the underworld can lead to a deeper understanding of life and the possibility of renewal. Inanna's journey is a moving testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring hope that lies beyond the shadow of death. In the heart of Greek mythology, a tale of love, loss, and renewal unfolds, a tale that echoes the changing seasons and the eternal cycles of life and death. It is the story of Hades and Persephone, a myth that has captivated hearts for centuries and left an indelible mark on Greek culture. This story, rich with emotion and profound meaning, offers a window into the ancient world's understanding of nature's rhythms and the mysteries of existence. Persephone, the radiant daughter of Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, was a figure of beauty and innocence. She embodied the vibrant energy of spring, with flowers blooming wherever she stepped. But her life took a sudden and dramatic turn when Hades, the god of the underworld, saw her and was struck by her beauty. Enamored, he decided to make her his queen. One day, as Persephone wandered the fields, gathering flowers, the earth beneath her feet opened up. In a moment of terror and awe, Hades emerged in his chariot and took her away to the underworld, leaving behind only the echoes of her cries. Demeter, upon discovering her daughter's absence, was overcome with grief. Her sorrow was so profound that she neglected her duties, and the earth began to wither. Crops failed, flowers wilted, and a cold stillness settled over the land. The once bountiful earth became barren, reflecting the despair that gripped Demeter's heart. The world was plunged into an endless winter, a reflection of a mother's sorrow for her lost child. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Persephone found herself in a realm far removed from the sunlit fields she once knew. Hades, though stern and fearsome, treated her with a strange mix of respect and affection. He offered her the throne beside him, not as a captive but as a queen. Yet, despite his gestures, Persephone longed for the world above, for the warmth of her mother's embrace and the life she had left behind. The gods, seeing the devastation wrought by Demeter's grief, intervened. Zeus, the king of the gods, sent Hermes, the messenger, to negotiate Persephone's release. But there was a condition. While in the underworld, Persephone had eaten a few seeds of a pomegranate, a fruit of the underworld. This act bound her to the realm of the dead, as consuming food from the underworld was a symbol of acceptance of its rule. It was decided that Persephone would spend part of the year with her mother on earth and the rest with Hades in the underworld. This arrangement created a delicate balance between life and death, growth and decay. When Persephone returned to her mother, the earth flourished. Flowers bloomed, trees bore fruit, and the fields were alive with the promise of harvest. Her presence brought warmth and life, symbolizing the renewal of spring and the abundance of summer. But when it was time for her to return to Hades, the world grew cold and barren, as Demeter's sorrow returned with the descent of autumn and the harshness of winter. This myth of Hades and Persephone became a powerful allegory for the changing seasons, an explanation for the natural cycle of life, death, and rebirth. It illustrated the inescapable truths of existence, the inevitability of loss, the endurance of love, and the hope of renewal. For the ancient Greeks, it was more than just a story, it was a reflection of their world, a way to understand the forces of nature and the mysteries of the human experience. The impact of this myth on Greek culture was profound. It influenced religious rituals, agricultural practices, and even the calendar. The Eleusinian Mysteries, one of the most significant religious rites in ancient Greece, were centered around the story of Demeter and Persephone. These mysteries offered initiates a glimpse into the secrets of life and death, promising a deeper understanding of the cosmos and the human soul. The myth also served as a poignant reminder of the resilience of life and the comforting belief that even in the darkest times, there is the promise of renewal. The love between Hades and Persephone, though unconventional, was seen as a powerful bond that transcended the boundaries of life and death. It was a love that balanced two worlds, connecting the vibrant life above with the silent stillness below. Their story is a testament to the complexity of love and the ways it can endure and transform. In every retelling of the myth, from ancient texts to modern interpretations, the tale of Hades and Persephone continues to resonate. It speaks to the universal themes of love, loss, and the inevitable cycles of nature. It reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is hope for rebirth and renewal. As the seasons change, so do we, growing and evolving through the trials and triumphs of life. And like Persephone, we find our way through the darkness, emerging into the light with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of the world around us. In the tapestry of Greek mythology, there exists a pair of twin brothers whose presence is both comforting and terrifying. They are Thanatos and Hypnos, the gods of death and sleep. Though they are often depicted together, their roles are distinct, each embodying a different aspect of the human experience. They are the gentle whisper at the end of a long day and the cold hand that guides souls to the afterlife. Thanatos, the god of death, is often portrayed as a somber figure, draped in dark robes with wings that are neither angelic nor demonic but hold a sense of inevitability. He is the embodiment of a peaceful end, not the violent, chaotic death brought about by war or tragedy. His touch is gentle, yet inescapable, a reminder that death is a natural part of life. Thanatos does not bring pain, he brings the quiet cessation of life's struggles. In Greek art and literature, he is depicted as a calm, almost soothing presence, and a guide who leads souls to the underworld with a serene finality. His role is essential, a necessary end to the journey of life, allowing the soul to transition into the afterlife. In stark contrast, his twin brother Hypnos, the god of sleep, offers a more immediate and everyday escape. Hypnos is often depicted as a youthful figure, his eyes half closed, with wings sprouting from his temples. He embodies the gentle release of sleep, a temporary surrender of consciousness that refreshes and restores. Hypnos has the power to lull even the most troubled minds into peaceful slumber, offering a reprieve from the harshness of reality. In his embrace, one finds rest and the possibility of dreams, a world where the impossible becomes possible, where the soul can wander freely. The relationship between these two gods is profound, as they represent the delicate balance between life and death, wakefulness and sleep. While Thanatos symbolizes the final departure, Hypnos offers a daily respite from the world's burdens. They are two sides of the same coin, both necessary for the human experience. The Greeks understood that sleep and death were closely related, one a temporary state, the other permanent. This connection is reflected in the saying, "Sleep is the brother of death," a sentiment that captures the comforting and inevitable nature of both. In mythological tales, Thanatos and Hypnos often work in tandem, especially in the stories where gods and mortals alike seek their intervention. Hypnos, with his soothing powers, can put even the mightiest of gods to sleep, as seen in the story of Hera and Zeus. When Hera sought to distract Zeus, she enlisted the help of Hypnos, who, with a gentle touch, lulled the king of gods into slumber. This act shows the immense power Hypnos holds, for even the gods are not immune to the allure of sleep. Thanatos, on the other hand, rarely intervenes in the affairs of the living unless it is their time to depart. However, there are tales of mortals who sought to escape his grasp. Sisyphus, a cunning king, once tricked Thanatos, capturing him and preventing anyone from dying. This disruption in the natural order caused chaos, and it took the intervention of Zeus to restore balance. Thanatos is a figure who cannot be cheated indefinitely, his role is as unyielding as the passage of time. Despite their differences, Thanatos and Hypnos share a bond that reflects the duality of existence. They remind us of the thin line between consciousness and oblivion, between the waking world and the mysteries that lie beyond. In the quiet moments of sleep, we experience a taste of what Thanatos represents, a peaceful release, a journey into the unknown. Yet, unlike death, sleep offers a return, a chance to awaken and continue the dance of life. In the ancient Greek understanding, sleep was a rehearsal for death, a time when the soul could roam free and the body could rest. This belief gave a sense of continuity between life and the afterlife, with Hypnos and Thanatos standing as guardians of this delicate balance. They are not figures to be feared, but rather respected, for they are integral to the cycle of life and death. The gentle nature of Hypnos and the solemnity of Thanatos remind us that both sleep and death are natural parts of existence. While one offers a nightly escape and the promise of renewal, the other provides a final release, a return to the earth and the universe. In their presence, we find both comfort and an acknowledgement of life's transient nature. They teach us that endings, whether brief or eternal, are not to be feared but embraced as part of the grand tapestry of existence. As we lay our heads down each night, we enter the realm of Hypnos, trusting in the peace that sleep brings. And when the time comes, we will meet Thanatos, not as a stranger but as an old friend, guiding us gently to our final rest. In this way, the myths of Thanatos and Hypnos offer a profound reflection on life's fragility and the beauty of its fleeting moments. Across cultures and ages, the figure of the death god looms large, a silent sentinel at the threshold between life and the beyond. These deities, whether feared or revered, hold the keys to the mysteries of the afterlife. They are not mere symbols of the end, but guardians of the soul's journey into an existence beyond our mortal comprehension. The beliefs surrounding these gods shape how cultures understand death, offering comfort, judgment, or a promise of rebirth. In ancient Egypt, the god Osiris stands as a symbol of hope and renewal. Osiris, who once ruled the earth, was murdered and dismembered by his brother Set. Yet, through the devotion of his wife, Isis, and the divine power she wielded, Osiris was resurrected, becoming the ruler of the underworld. His story is not just one of death, but of transformation and rebirth. Egyptians believed that Osiris presided over the weighing of the heart, where the soul's worth was judged. A heart lighter than the feather of Ma'at meant eternal bliss, while a heavier one condemned the soul to oblivion. This belief in a moral reckoning after death imbued life with a sense of purpose and justice, knowing that one's actions would determine their fate in the afterlife. In Greek mythology, the afterlife is a more somber affair. Hades, the god of the underworld, governs a realm where the souls of the dead reside. Unlike Osiris, Hades does not judge. His domain is one of inevitability and finality. The Greeks believed in the concept of the soul's eternal rest, yet not all souls received the same fate. The virtuous might find themselves in the Elysian fields, a place of peace and beauty, while the wicked were condemned to Tartarus, a pit of torment. The journey to the underworld was not without its trials, with Charon the ferryman demanding payment and Cerberus guarding the gates. Hades' realm reflects the Greek view of death as an unavoidable destination, where the soul finds its final place based on the deeds of its earthly life. In Norse mythology, death is intertwined with the concept of honor and destiny. The Valkyries, warrior maidens, choose those who die gloriously in battle, guiding them to Valhalla, where they join Odin in preparation for Ragnarok, the end of the world. Those who do not die in battle might find themselves in Hell, a realm presided over by the goddess Hel, a place of shadows and cold. This dichotomy reflects the Norse valorization of bravery and the warrior's spirit. Valhalla is not just a resting place, but a hall of heroes, a continuation of a warrior's life, filled with feasting in preparation for the final battle. Meanwhile, Hell represents a more mundane afterlife, not one of punishment but of quiet, eternal existence. In Hinduism, Yama, the god of death, is both a judge and a guide. He oversees the journey of souls through the cycles of rebirth, as dictated by karma. The soul's deeds, both good and bad, are meticulously recorded, determining its next incarnation. Unlike the linear journey seen in Egyptian or Greek beliefs, Hinduism offers a cyclical view of life and death, where the soul is bound by the law of samsara until it achieves moksha, or liberation. Yama's role is crucial in this process, as he ensures the cosmic balance is maintained, guiding souls through their karmic journey with impartiality and wisdom. This belief instills a profound sense of responsibility, as every action has a consequence in the endless cycle of birth and death. In Aztec mythology, Mictlantecuhtli and Mictecacihuatl rule Mictlan, the underworld. The Aztecs believed that the afterlife journey was arduous, requiring the soul to navigate 9 levels before reaching eternal rest. Unlike other beliefs where the afterlife could be a place of reward or punishment, Mictlan was a destination for most souls, regardless of their earthly actions. The rituals associated with these deities were elaborate, emphasizing the importance of honoring the dead and ensuring their safe passage. The belief in a challenging journey to the afterlife highlighted the Aztec view of death as a continuation of the struggle faced in life, a final test before achieving peace. In Buddhism, the figure of Mara embodies the concept of temptation and distraction. While not a death god in the traditional sense, Mara represents the obstacles that prevent individuals from achieving enlightenment. His role in the mythology of Buddha's life, trying to tempt Siddhartha Gautama under the Bodhi tree, underscores the idea that death is not just a physical end, but also a metaphorical one, representing the end of ignorance and the beginning of spiritual awakening. In this context, the concept of death extends beyond the corporeal to the spiritual, where the ultimate goal is to transcend the cycle of rebirth and achieve nirvana. This view offers a more introspective perspective on death, emphasizing inner transformation and liberation from worldly attachments. The Jewish angel of death, Samael, presents another facet of the divine figure associated with the end of life. In Jewish folklore and Kabbalistic traditions, Samael is a complex character, often depicted as both a destroyer and an accuser. He is seen as an angel of death, responsible for collecting souls at the time of their demise. Yet, Samael's role is not solely malevolent. He also serves as an instrument of divine justice. In some traditions, he is seen as a necessary force, ensuring the cosmic order is maintained. This duality reflects the Jewish understanding of death as part of a larger, divinely ordained plan, where even the angel of death serves a purpose within the grand design. These diverse beliefs illustrate the multifaceted nature of death gods and their roles and afterlife beliefs across cultures. They are not merely harbingers of death, but are integral to understanding the mysteries of existence and the afterlife. Whether as judges, guides, or guardians, these deities provide a framework for grappling with the profound questions of life, death, and what lies beyond. Through their stories, we glimpse the hopes, fears, and aspirations of the cultures that revered them, offering a poignant reminder of the universal quest to find meaning in the face of mortality. In the serene yet mysterious world of Shinto, death is not just an end, but a passage into a realm guarded by powerful deities. Among these divine figures, Yama, the enigmatic mountain witch, stands out with a chilling allure. Her story is intertwined with the cycle of life and death, embodying both the nurturing and destructive forces of nature. Yama is often depicted as an old woman living in the mountains, a place where the human world and the spiritual realm blur. She is said to lure travelers into her lair with the promise of warmth and food, only to reveal a more sinister nature. Yet, Yama character is not purely malevolent. She is a complex figure who embodies the duality of life and death, creation and destruction. In some tales, she is a caring figure who helps those in need, while in others, she is a cannibalistic witch. This duality reflects the Shinto belief in the balance of nature's forces, where death is a natural part of life. In addition to Yama, there are other lesser-known death deities in Shinto who play crucial roles in guiding the souls of the deceased. Izanami, one of the primordial deities, is central to the Shinto creation myth. After giving birth to the fire god Kagetsuchi, Izanami succumbed to fatal burns and descended into Yomi, the land of the dead. Her husband, Izanagi, followed her there, only to find her transformed into a decaying figure. The story of Izanami and Izanagi is a tragic tale of love and loss, highlighting the Shinto understanding of death as an inevitable separation from the living world. Izanami's role as a death deity is tinged with sadness, as she becomes a figure who can no longer return to the world of the living, forever bound to Yomi. In Shinto, death is often seen as a state of impurity, something that must be purified through rituals and offerings. This belief is embodied in the figure of Okuninushi, a god who governs the land of the dead. Unlike the harsh rulers of the underworld and other cultures, Okuninushi is a compassionate deity. He listens to the pleas of the dead and the living, acting as a mediator between the two realms. His presence provides comfort to those who mourn, offering the hope that their loved ones are cared for in the afterlife. The rituals associated with Okuninushi often involve prayers for the safe passage of souls, reflecting a deep respect for the dead and the belief in their continued existence in another realm. Another intriguing figure in Shinto mythology is Enma, the ruler of the underworld. Though originally a figure from Buddhist traditions, Enma has been incorporated into Shinto beliefs, becoming a judge who determines the fate of souls. He is often depicted as a stern but fair figure who weighs the deeds of the dead on a set of scales. Enma's role emphasizes the moral dimension of death in Shinto, where the actions of one's life have consequences in the afterlife. The fear of Enma's judgment serves as a moral compass for the living, encouraging them to live righteously. Shinto beliefs also encompass the concept of kami, spirits or gods that inhabit all things, including the spirits of the dead. Ancestral worship is a significant aspect of Shinto, where the spirits of deceased family members are revered as protective deities. These ancestral kami are believed to watch over their descendants, providing guidance and protection. The veneration of ancestors reflects the continuity between the living and the dead, a bond that transcends physical death. It is a comforting thought that even in death, one's spirit continues to be a part of the family, influencing and aiding the lives of the living. The festivals and rituals associated with Shinto death deities are vibrant and solemn, reflecting the deep cultural respect for the dead. Obon, a festival dedicated to honoring the spirits of ancestors, is a time when families come together to welcome the souls of the departed back to the world of the living. Lanterns are lit, and offerings are made at ancestral altars, creating a bridge between the two worlds. It is a time of reflection and remembrance, where the living express their gratitude and love for those who have passed on. The festival embodies the Shinto belief in the cyclical nature of life and death, where the spirits of the deceased continue to play an active role in the lives of the living. In Shinto, death is not an end but a transition to another state of being. The deities associated with death are not feared but respected, as they are guardians of the natural order. They remind us of the impermanence of life and the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. The stories of Yamayuba, Izanami, Okuninushi, Enma, and the ancestral kami are woven into the fabric of Japanese culture, offering a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices that honor the dead and acknowledge the mysteries of existence. These deities, with their complex roles and attributes, offer a unique perspective on death and the afterlife. They provide comfort and guidance, serving as intermediaries between the world of the living and the world of the dead. In the gentle yet profound philosophy of Shinto, death is a natural part of life, a passage that leads to a new existence. The reverence for death deities and the rituals associated with them reflect a deep understanding of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a cycle that continues to resonate in the hearts of those who follow the Shinto faith. In the heart of the African continent, where the land pulses with the rhythms of ancient traditions and the whispers of ancestral spirits, the role of death gods in mythology is a profound and revered aspect of cultural life. The African pantheon is as vast as the continent itself, rich with deities who govern the mysteries of life and death. Among these, the death gods hold a unique place, bridging the worlds of the living and the dead, and embodying the complex emotions surrounding mortality. One such figure is Anansi, the cunning spider god from West African folklore, who is often seen as a trickster. While not a god of death in the traditional sense, Anansi's stories frequently touch on the theme of mortality, reflecting the fragility of life. Anansi's cunning often brings him into contact with the world of the dead, where his cleverness helps him navigate the perilous journey between life and the afterlife. His tales, filled with wit and wisdom, offer a unique perspective on the inevitability of death and the importance of outsmarting life's challenges. In the Yoruba tradition, the god of death is known as Iku. Unlike the Western portrayal of death as a grim and ominous figure, Iku is seen as a natural part of the cosmic order. He is not a malevolent being but a necessary force, ensuring the balance between life and death. Iku's presence is felt in the quiet moments of a person's last breath, a solemn guide who gently leads souls to the next world. The Yoruba people view death not as an end but as a transition, a passage to a new phase of existence. This belief is beautifully encapsulated in the reverence they show to Iku, honoring him with rituals and offerings to ensure the safe journey of their loved ones to the afterlife. The Akan people of Ghana and the Ivory Coast have a similar understanding of death, embodied in the figure of Asasia. She is the earth goddess and, by extension, the goddess of death, as she receives the bodies of the dead. Asasia is a nurturing figure, a motherly presence who embraces the deceased, returning them to the earth from which they came. Her role in death is a reminder of the cyclical nature of life, where every end is a new beginning. The Akan believe that the souls of the dead return to Asasia, where they are reincarnated, continuing the cycle of life. In Central African mythology, the god of death, Nyambi, holds a dual role as the creator and destroyer. Nyambi is often depicted as a powerful figure who controls the fate of all beings. In one of the myths, Nyambi grows weary of the constant complaints and troubles of humans, leading him to create death as a way to bring peace. This act of creating death is seen not as a punishment but as a gift, a way to end suffering and allow for the renewal of life. Nyambi's dual nature reflects the African understanding of death as an integral part of life, a necessary force that maintains the balance of the universe. The Bantu-speaking people of southern Africa have a rich tradition of ancestral worship where the spirits of the dead, known as the Shades, are believed to influence the lives of the living. The Shades are not seen as distant or malevolent spirits, but as active participants in the daily lives of their descendants. They are honored through rituals and offerings, and their guidance is sought in times of trouble. The Bantu people believe that the Shades can bring good fortune or misfortune, depending on how they are treated. This belief in the continued presence of the dead in the lives of the living highlights the importance of the death gods in African mythology, as they are the gatekeepers to the world of the Shades. In the rich tapestry of African mythology, death gods are not just symbols of the end, but also guardians of the afterlife, protectors of the dead, and guides for the living. They embody the complex emotions surrounding death, from fear and sorrow to acceptance and hope. The rituals and stories associated with these deities offer comfort and understanding, helping people to navigate the mysteries of life and death. These deities are often accompanied by rituals and ceremonies that honor their presence and power. In many African cultures, the transition to the afterlife is marked by elaborate funeral rites, which are believed to ensure the safe passage of the soul. These ceremonies are not only a way to honor the deceased, but also to appease the death gods, ensuring their favor and protection. The death gods are seen as custodians of the afterlife, watching over the souls of the dead and ensuring that they find their place in the spiritual world. The myths and stories of these gods often carry moral lessons and reflections on the nature of existence. They teach that death is a part of life, a natural process that should be accepted with grace and understanding. They remind us that life is fleeting and precious, and that the way we live our lives can impact our journey in the afterlife. The reverence for death gods in African mythology is a testament to the deep spiritual connection that the people have with the natural world and the cycles of life and death. In the end, the role of death gods in African mythologies is not just about the fear of death, but also about the celebration of life. They are a reminder that death is not an end, but a transformation, a passage to another realm where the spirits of the ancestors reside. The stories and rituals surrounding these deities provide a way for people to connect with their heritage, honor their ancestors, and find comfort in the face of mortality. The death gods of Africa are not just figures of fear, but also symbols of hope and renewal, embodying the eternal cycle of life and death. In the dim glow of a cinema screen or the quiet hush of a library, the echoes of ancient myths reverberate through modern interpretations. The figures of death gods, once shrouded in ritual and reverence, have found new life in contemporary media and literature. These ancient deities, who once guarded the thresholds between life and death, now step into the light of modern storytelling, embodying timeless themes of mortality, destiny, and the afterlife. The image of the Grim Reaper, with his skeletal frame and scythe, is one of the most iconic representations of death in modern culture. This figure, though not tied to any single mythological tradition, draws heavily from the imagery of Thanatos, the Greek personification of death. In modern media, the Grim Reaper often appears as a silent, ominous presence, a reminder of life's inevitable end. Yet, in some stories, this figure is given a more complex personality, depicted as a sympathetic guide or even a reluctant harbinger of fate. This nuanced portrayal allows audiences to explore their fears and curiosities about death in a safe, imaginative space. In literature, Neil Gaiman's The Sandman series presents an intriguing version of death. Unlike the cold, impersonal figure often associated with the end of life, Gaiman's death is a warm, compassionate character who comforts the souls she guides to the afterlife. This portrayal challenges traditional perceptions, suggesting that death can be a gentle transition rather than a terrifying unknown. Gaiman's character draws on various mythologies, including Greek and Egyptian, blending these influences into a figure that feels both ancient and refreshingly modern. Another notable representation is found in Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, where the Greek god Hades and his Roman counterpart, Pluto, are reimagined for a younger audience. These characters retain their ancient attributes, rulers of the underworld, possessors of immense power, but are given new depth and relatability. In these stories, Hades is not merely a figure of dread but a complex character with his own desires and challenges. Riordan's work introduces young readers to the rich tapestry of mythology, making these ancient tales accessible and engaging. The Japanese Shinigami, spirits of death from folklore, have also found a place in modern media, particularly in anime and manga. In Death Note, Shinigami are portrayed as beings who oversee the lives of humans, capable of ending life by writing a name in a supernatural notebook. The series explores moral questions about justice, power, and the value of life, using the Shinigami as catalysts for the story's philosophical dilemmas. This representation reflects the traditional role of Shinigami as entities that can both end life and maintain cosmic balance, while also adding new layers of complexity and intrigue. In Western literature, the figure of Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead, often appears in stories dealing with the afterlife and the supernatural. In Anne Rice's The Tale of the Body Thief, Anubis is portrayed as a figure who helps souls transition to the afterlife. This depiction aligns with his ancient role as the guardian of the dead, a deity who oversees the weighing of souls. In modern interpretations, Anubis is often depicted as a noble figure, a symbol of judgment and fairness, reflecting humanity's enduring fascination with the mysteries of the afterlife. Modern cinema has also embraced the mythology of death gods, often exploring their stories in the context of horror and fantasy. In the film The Seventh Seal, directed by Ingmar Bergman, the personification of death plays a central role, engaging in a game of chess with a knight. This stark portrayal serves as a meditation on the inevitability of death and the search for meaning in life. The film's depiction of death as an inescapable force resonates with audiences, highlighting the universal nature of mortality. In contemporary fantasy, the concept of death gods has been reimagined in creative and unexpected ways. In Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, death is portrayed as a skeletal figure with a wry sense of humor and a fondness for cats. Pratchett's Death is a compassionate character who cares deeply for the souls he collects, offering a comforting presence in a chaotic universe. This portrayal blends humor with profound philosophical questions, challenging readers to reconsider their perceptions of death and the afterlife. In video games, the influence of death gods can be seen in characters like Hades from the God of War series. Here, Hades is depicted as a formidable adversary, embodying the darker aspects of the underworld. The game's portrayal of Hades draws on his mythological attributes, his dominion over the dead, his immense power, but amplifies them for dramatic effect. This representation emphasizes the fear and awe that ancient cultures associated with death gods, while also providing a thrilling narrative experience. Modern interpretations of death gods are not confined to Western media. In Hindu cinema, Yama, the god of death, is often depicted in mythological films. These portrayals highlight Yama's role as the enforcer of cosmic law, a stern yet just figure who oversees the fate of souls. Such representations preserve the traditional aspects of Yama's character while also adapting them to contemporary storytelling, reflecting the evolving cultural landscape. Across different cultures and mediums, the representation of death gods continues to evolve, reflecting society's changing attitudes toward death and the afterlife. These ancient figures, once worshipped and feared, are now reimagined in ways that resonate with modern audiences. Whether as solemn guardians, playful tricksters, or compassionate guides, they continue to captivate the human imagination, offering comfort, reflection, and a deeper understanding of life's most profound mysteries. In their modern incarnations, these death gods remind us that while the face of death may change, the questions it raises remain the same. They invite us to confront our fears, to ponder the nature of existence, and to find meaning in the face of life's ultimate transition. Through stories old and new, the gods of death continue to speak to the human experience, bridging the past and the present, the mythical and the real. In the quiet moments between life and death, humanity has always sought to understand the mysteries that lie beyond. Across cultures and centuries, death deities have served as guides, judges, and guardians, embodying our deepest fears and hopes about the afterlife. Their stories, etched in myth and legend, have left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness, shaping not only ancient beliefs but also the modern imagination. The legacy of these death gods is more than a collection of tales, it is a reflection of our universal quest to make sense of mortality. From the solemn figure of Thanatos to the enigmatic Yama, these deities have personified death in its many facets. They remind us of the inevitability of our journey's end, yet also offer the promise of renewal, justice, or eternal peace. In a world where the unknown often stirs fear, these figures provide a framework for understanding and accepting the cycle of life and death. In the ancient world, these gods wielded immense influence. They were not only revered but also invoked in rituals and prayers, as people sought their favor or feared their wrath. The Egyptians mummified their dead with the belief that Anubis would guide their souls safely to the afterlife. The Greeks offered sacrifices to Hades, hoping to appease the god who ruled the underworld. In Japan, Shinto traditions honored spirits and deities who bridged the gap between the living and the dead. These practices, deeply embedded in cultural traditions, underscored the profound respect and fear that death deities commanded. Yet, as societies evolved, so too did the representations of these deities. In modern times, they have transcended their traditional roles, becoming symbols and metaphors in literature, art, and media. They are no longer merely figures of dread, but complex characters that embody the human experience of loss, transition, and rebirth. The portrayal of death in Terry Pratchett's Discworld series as a compassionate and humorous figure challenges the notion of death as solely fearsome. Similarly, the Grim Reaper, often depicted as a harbinger of doom, is sometimes shown as a neutral or even kind entity, guiding souls to their next journey. The cultural impact of death deities extends beyond religious or mythological boundaries. They influence contemporary discussions about life and death, morality, and the afterlife. In philosophical debates, these figures serve as allegories for ethical dilemmas and the existential questions that have puzzled humanity for millennia. Their stories encourage reflection on the nature of justice, the meaning of life, and the possibility of an afterlife. They invite us to confront our mortality with courage and curiosity, rather than fear and denial. Moreover, the enduring presence of death gods in popular culture highlights their relevance in today's world. Films, television series, and books often explore themes of death and the afterlife, using these ancient figures as narrative devices to explore complex emotional and psychological landscapes. In shows like Supernatural or American Gods, death gods and reapers interact with the living, blurring the lines between the mortal and the divine. These representations resonate with audiences because they speak to the timeless human desire to understand what happens after death. In art, the depiction of death gods continues to evolve, reflecting changing societal attitudes towards death. Contemporary artists often use these figures to explore themes of mortality, memory, and the passage of time. Whether through paintings, sculptures, or digital media, these representations offer a space for contemplation and conversation about the transient nature of existence. They remind us that while life is fleeting, the legacy of those who have passed endures in the stories and memories they leave behind. The legacy of death deities is also evident in modern spiritual and religious practices. While the overt worship of these gods may have waned, their influence persists in rituals and traditions that honor the dead. Festivals like the Day of the Dead in Mexico, which celebrates the spirits of the departed, echo the ancient reverence for the gods of death and the afterlife. These celebrations, rich in symbolism and meaning, offer a way for the living to connect with their ancestors and acknowledge the cycle of life and death. In the end, the legacy of death deities is a testament to humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown. They are more than mythological figures, they are embodiments of our deepest fears and hopes, our questions and beliefs. Through their stories, we find a mirror to our own lives, a reflection of the complexities and mysteries that define the human experience. They challenge us to confront our mortality, to seek meaning in the face of uncertainty, and to cherish the moments we have. As we continue to tell and retell their stories, death deities remain a powerful force in our cultural imagination. They remind us that while death is an inevitable part of life, it is also a gateway to the unknown, a mystery that has captivated the human spirit since the dawn of time. Through their legacy, we find a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, a timeless exploration of the eternal dance between life and death.